So I wanted to talk a little bit about desensitizing at liberty. What I have found is some of the things that I could do with the rope on weren't as easy when the rope was off because now the horse had the option to leave, and sometimes they did. So here we'll play with the leaf blower and show you some of the techniques I've used with the rope on or with the rope off, but the leaf blower kind of makes it a little more interesting. So obviously here, he's pretty interested in it. He likes to play with his toys, but I'm taking it away from him. So the first thing you want to do is actually take whatever that you're trying to desensitize with away from them. Because when you walk away from them, and even if you have a lead rope on here, the horse kind of naturally wants to follow it out of curiosity. And yes, I definitely do this with the lead rope first, because I don't want to have a very negative reaction and now have a phobia of it. But I walked away and he wanted to follow me, and then I walked back towards him and he got a little guarded. Pretty normal, but I was real passive in it. And again, this leaf blower is a little bit harder than most things. Just showing that, just to show you, here's what I do, because this is the first time that Steel Smart has done this at Liberty. So he kind of backed up from it. I just kind of kept pushing the dirt. And that's what kind of gets a lot of the horses, is it moves the dirt and they're not sure why, so it bothers them a bit. And then I just approach and retreat. Approach here. He's almost going to back up, so I'm going to wait. Give him a second. He's not trying to overreact, so I just kind of gave him a second. And I retreated. If I had gotten closer and he had really reacted, I would have stopped and backed up there. But this time there, see, just by the approach and retreat, this time I could come towards him, and he was pretty mellow with it. Now again, he's not petrified of this, and you do not start with the leaf blower. Start with something simple like hitting the whip on the ground, something like that. My progression is hitting the whip on the ground, then snapping the whip. That sometimes can bother some horses. Maybe I can go to a plastic bag, though, the plastic bag can be worse than the leaf blower for some horses. So, get the little things good first, then let's do the harder things. So here I'm just kind of blowing on his chest and his mane hairs there, and see how his head's turning away? So as soon as I got the eye and I thought he was going to come back towards me, I took the pressure away. So, you can kind of watch their eye and tell what they're going to do, and a horse has a natural inclination to move into pressure. So when I think he's going to move towards it, I'll take it away. And then that naturally gets their curiosity, and he says, hey, what was that? Why'd you take it away? And so if he turns his head away from me, I would just keep the pressure on, assuming he's not going to have a heart attack, and just keep that pressure on, blow, blow, blow here. And I could kind of see his eye caught, so I said, well, maybe he'll come with me, and I didn't quite get it. So I'll come back over here on this side, so see how the head's going away, he's turning away, he's trying to pretend it's not there, kind of ignoring me, put his head back towards me, so then I walk away. As soon as I could tell the head or the eye started coming back towards me, when I walked away, I drew him to me. So that's the most important thing, is in desensitizing case, when they come towards you with their pressure, you walk away. It's not true for anything else that we do with horses, but for desensitizing, we're trying to build up their confidence and make them think, if I push into this thing, I can dominate it. So remember, this is just for desensitizing, but it's a cool little trick because it's just what a horse naturally wants to do once he thinks he's going to avoid it. You hear a lot of talk about like shut down horses and stuff like that with too much desensitizing, and I think that can happen. But I think it's because they would have taken the pressure away when he had his head turned away from me and tuning me out. If you kept rewarding him or allowing him to tune you out, then he would. So keep that in mind. We're not doing this just to make him not have any interest or force him to be a robot. We're teaching him to have confidence and curiosity in what we're doing with him. So there I'm just doing it again. See, he's coming towards me. He's like, oh, see, they just naturally lean into pressure. There, he said, I don't know if I like it close to my ears, so I just wait him out, and then I walk away. So do this with the rope on first, like I said, but it's pretty cool because, by letting him lean towards that pressure, you build a lot of confidence. So if you want to desensitize and don't want to have somebody say you're creating a shut down horse, this is it. You want him to be engaged in what he's doing. And it's interesting that that Liberty work will show you, is he engaged? Is he curious? Or is he doing it because he thinks he has to? And that's something I've kind of picked up in these last year, is doing it at Liberty has kind of shown me where there's a couple places where maybe my horses weren't 100% comfortable. They were doing it, but maybe they weren't happy and comfortable and curious and, you know, upbeat about it. And in this case, now they're like, well, okay, it's not so bad. So it just is good for both of you. Again, do it with your tools first, because if he learned to run away from you, then maybe that would be a bad thing too. So, you know, we do it the way of, if he wanted to back up or go sideways, we'd keep that pressure on with the rope on him, allow him to go backwards, allow him to go sideways, keep that pressure or stimulus until he stood still, then we'd release. You could even do approach and retreat with the rope on, but get the confidence and get it to where you're pretty happy with it and you think the horse is really good at this. Then let's try all this at Liberty, and you might find a couple holes. That's okay. Little Steel's hole was his offside hip here. If I go just stand by his off hip and just rest there, he'd want to turn around and face me. He didn't have a big hole, but it was just funny because it was like, I don't think you're supposed to stand right there. And that just showed me probably I never hardly did. So I just went back there and leaned on him and actually turned on a podcast and listened to that for a while we just stood there and relaxed while I was sitting on his off hip. And he got over it and said, well, she's not asking for anything, so we're happy. His problem was he wasn't sure that I was going to ask for something because it wasn't my normal position. So just go practice this a little bit, see how good your horse is at Liberty after you get him good on a rope, and I'd love to hear how your progress is. Happy trails!